Hello, and welcome to Embracing Childlessness. Yeah, right. I just wanted to say thank you for having the courage to press play. I know this isn't the video you wanted to watch. I know this isn't the club you wanted to join. And you're in a tough club already. So I just wanted to say that I really get how hard it is to be here and how hard it is to imagine a different kind of hope than the hope of motherhood. I just want you to be really, really gentle with yourself whilst you're going through this material. No need to do it all at once. Take it at your own pace. There can be a kind of fear of even embracing the thought of childlessness. I've heard of women who've bought my book and kept it on their sort of by their bed for years, unable to actually read it because somehow reading my book would confirm in some way that they were childless. And there was a part of them that still wanted to hold on to a fantasy that by some miracle it would still happen. So if that's where you are, it's perfectly normal. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to be like, woohoo, childlessness. That would be weird. So I just want to know that all of you is welcome. Your hopes, your dreams, your joys, your fears, your sadnesses. Becoming childless is complicated in a different way to becoming a mother. And I have a lot of experience with helping women like you through this. So you're in safe hands, but I'm not there with you right now. You are. So please take really good care of your tender, childless heart today and every day. So you're probably wondering who I am. My name's Jody Day, and I'm the founder of Gateway Women. Gateway Women is a global friendship and advocacy network for childless, not by choice women. I started it in 2011 as a blog. This was a long time ago in terms of the internet. There wasn't really much social media. There was no Instagram. Twitter was around, but there was very little out there. And actually all of the action was on blogs and on the comments on blogs. And I started a blog called Gateway Women because there was no one I could talk to about my childlessness. Everyone I spoke to just gave me helpful advice or bingoed me, you know, oh, you dodged a bullet. Kids aren't all they're cracked up to be. Here, have one of mine. You didn't really want them, did you? Hey, why don't you think of adoption? All of the suggestions. I'm afraid once you move into the childless territory, you're still going to get the helpful advice, just as you've probably had and endured much of it during your trying to conceive journey. It carries on. It just changes. It just changes a little bit. But I didn't know anyone in my family, in my social circle, amongst my colleagues, in the wider culture, in the media. I didn't seem to know anyone else who was trying to come to terms with being childless, not by choice. So when I wrote my blog, I kind of wrote it as a way, I thought I was sort of shouting into the void, but certainly articulating my experience was really helpful to me because I'm a writer. That's how I make sense of things, is I try and put them into words. The very next day after publishing that first blog in 2011, I got my first piece of PR, the very next day. And also women from all around the world started leaving comments on my blog saying, how do you know the exact words that are in my head? I thought I was the only person in the world thinking these things. Now you'll know what that feels like. You know, you've been part of Twig. You know what it feels like to have people who've got your back, who you don't have to explain yourself to, and who don't try to shut you down when you say something that perhaps in normal company might be seen as a bit extreme. And that's how it was for me. I sat at my desk, I had tears running down my face because it was the first time I had the sense that I wasn't on my own. Bingoed me, you know, oh, you dodged a bullet. Kids aren't all they're cracked up to be. Here, have one of mine. You didn't really want them, did you? Hey, why don't you think of adoption? All of the suggestions. I'm afraid once you move into the childless territory, you're still going to get the helpful advice, just as you've probably had and endured much of it during your trying to conceive journey. It carries on. It just changes. It just changes a little bit. But I didn't know anyone in my family, in my social circle, amongst my colleagues, in the wider culture, in the media. I didn't seem to know anyone else who was trying to come to terms with being childless not by choice. So when I wrote my blog, I kind of wrote it as a way, I thought I was sort of shouting into the void, but certainly articulating my experience was really helpful to me, because I'm a writer. That's how I make sense of things, is I try and put them into words. The very next day after publishing that first blog in 2011, I got my first piece of PR, the very next day. And also women from all around the world started leaving comments on my blog saying, how do you know the exact words that are in my head? I thought I was the only person in the world thinking these things. Now, you'll know what that feels like. You know, you've been part of Twig. You know what it feels like to have people who've got your back, who you don't have to explain yourself to, and who don't try to shut you down when you say something that perhaps in normal company might be seen as a bit extreme. And that's how it was for me. I sat at my desk, I had tears running down my face, because it was the first time I had the sense that I wasn't on my own. So, was. So not long after that, I was invited to give an interview to The Guardian, which is a British newspaper, quite a big one. That interview went viral and is still being read today. And it was about the impact of my childlessness on my friendship circle. Didn't realize what a hot topic that was going to be. I didn't realize I was going to lose friends over it. But so sometimes when you are a truth teller, sometimes people don't like the truth, even though I didn't say anything unkind about anyone. But it was a beginning to helping me to understand what a sort of hot topic childlessness is, and why, in a way, I didn't know anything about it, because sort of everyone was avoiding talking about it. But through my blog, I started to meet other women like me. And they were saying to me, well, you seem to understand this in a different way to like anyone else. Can't you sort of, create something? And I was thinking, me? Create something? I was deep in my grief at that time. I felt like a basket case. But I was training to be a psychotherapist. I had a lot of experience in the 12-step community, in a wonderful support group called Al-Anon, which is for friends and families of alcoholics and addicts. And I discovered that I did have quite a sort of a natural skill for running groups and holding spaces. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And so I started the first Gateway Women group in 2011. And I ran those through, 2011 and 12. I wrote my book, the first edition of my book, Living the Life Unexpected, which was self-published. And at the end of 2012, I started the Gateway Women online community on a brand new platform that had only just started, which was called Google+, which now no longer exists, because I really didn't want, the only option apart from that was a Facebook group. And I'm sure you understand that Facebook can be a form of self-harm for those of us who are trying to conceive, or those of us who are coming to terms with childlessness. It really can be full-on family land. So that wasn't a safe space for us. So we were on Google+, and then we transitioned to the Mighty Networks platform, which you'll be familiar with, in 2019. Also early adopter. I've always been an early adopter of new tech. So it's now been 15 years for me since I began my childless recovery journey. During that time, I have written my best-selling book 3 times because there was the original self-published edition and 2 editions with Pam Macmillan. I've recorded 2 TED Talks. I've supported tens of thousands of childless women around the world. And the online community that I started is now called Lighthouse Women, and is hosted by Katie Seppi of Chasing Creation. So it's still there. It's still the Gateway Women online community. I'm still very much a part of it. It's just kind of under new stewardship. I passed it on to the next generation because I'm nearly 60 now. And my interest more and more is about the next stage of the childless journey, which is something you may be worrying about too. How do I become an older childless woman? How do I prepare for that? The big question, who's going to be there for me when I'm old? We're going to look at that later. So I just want you to know that apparently I'm the founder of the childless movement. I've also been called less often, but more memorably, the Beyonce of childlessness. I live in rural Ireland with a cat and a dog and my partner, but I was single and childless for most of my 40s and early 50s after getting divorced in my late 30s from my husband I've been with since my early 20s, and the many years of unexplained infertility that we experienced. I didn't, we were just about getting to the point of considering fertility treatments when the marriage just imploded under the stress of it all. And because I only had my information about infertility treatments from the media, I thought I didn't have to worry about anything till I was 40, and that IVF always works. Yeah, so I was really in the dark. I actually didn't even know why 40 was a thing. I didn't know about eggs aging. I am a smart woman and I'm really good at researching stuff. And it took me a long time to get over the shame of when I understood that I hadn't understood. But it wasn't that I didn't seek out the information. I didn't realize I had to, because I didn't know that the information I had was wrong. So it was really hard for me when I realized too late that for me, that ship had already sailed. And after we got divorced, I had 2 relationships after that, but neither of them did I conceive naturally in, or were they right to proceed to try treatments in. So, for me, 44, I kept that dream going a long time. 44 and a half, if you really want to know, was when it really hit me that childlessness was not a sort of an inconvenient way station on my way to motherhood, but it was my permanent destination. And there was nothing out there to support me at all. Therapists, doctors, even Dr. Google, no one knew. No one knew how to be a childless woman, how to talk about it, how to find each other. So they do now. I've created an enormous amount of resources and connections and communities and workshops and courses, and been in the media a lot as well, really representing us, because there is an idea, I think, I'm sorry, that childless women are a bit weird, and we're not. We're just normal women, regular. We can be everything, and we can have meaningful and fulfilling and full and happy lives. That message isn't out there. The message is very much that if you wanted to have children and you don't have them, you're never going to get over it. I want to let you know that's not true. I've got over it, and I have helped, tens of thousands of other people too. And actually, even that language, I just want to kind of back up a minute there. Getting over it implies an event, a moment when it will no longer be an issue. My childlessness is going to be with me forever. I'm never not going to be a childless woman. And it's part of who I am. The difference is now is that it's no longer, hello, my name's Jody and I'm childless, and it's the most important thing you need to know about me. It's childlessness. It's like, it's part of the context of who I am. I'm Jody. I have a dog, I have a cat, I have a partner, I live in the countryside, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm a lover, I'm a writer, I'm many, many things, and I'm childless. And that shift, that ability for it to become part of me, that's really the journey that you're going to be on, and we're going to look at on this course. By the time we get to the end of this course, you won't be done. Really, what we're doing here is introducing you to the steps you'll be taking in the coming years as you adapt to being childless, and to let you know that it's really normal. There are an awful lot of us out there, and you will find your people again. Okay? So I hope that helps you to understand what I bring to this and how much I care.